The fjord is calm, almost obedient, its dark water pressed tight between sheer walls of stone. To the German captain standing on the bridge of the Tirpitz, this landscape isn't threatening, it's protective. Nature itself has taken his side. The mountains rise thousands of feet straight up, eliminating low-level attack runs. The narrow channel restricts maneuvering space. The cold, heavy water absorbs shock. Every variable seems controlled. Every angle accounted for. Beneath his feet lies 52,000 tons of steel, the most heavily protected battleship ever deployed in European waters. The ship's citadel, an armored box encasing engines, turbines, and magazines, is wrapped in hardened steel plates over a foot thick. The deck armor is engineered to defeat high-altitude bombs by forcing them to shatter on impact. Around the hull, multiple layers of anti-torpedo nets hang like a submerged fortress wall, chained to the seabed, designed to catch and neutralize anything approaching underwater. This isn't optimism. It's engineering confidence. The defenses don't stop at the hull. On the cliffs surrounding the anchorage, chemical smoke generators stand ready around the clock. Within minutes of a radar warning, they can flood the entire fjord with a dense, corrosive fog, erasing the ship from sight. The logic is brutally simple. Weapons that cannot see cannot hit. For years, this system has worked. Aircraft arrive. Smoke rises. Bombs miss. The Tirpitz survives. From the captain's perspective, physics is already on his side. A torpedo needs space and speed to arm itself. Neither exists here. A bomb needs altitude to build velocity. Cloud ceilings and terrain deny it. Even if an explosion occurs nearby, the ship's compartmentalization and double bottom are designed to absorb shock, localize damage, and keep the hull intact. Every threat is met with a countermeasure. Every countermeasure has been tested by failure after failure. Those failures become part of the illusion. Submarines breach the perimeter. Charges detonate under the keel. The ship is lifted, shaken, wounded, but not killed. Repairs follow. Systems come back online. The Tirpitz returns to readiness. Each survival reinforces the same conclusion. This ship cannot be destroyed here. What was once caution hardens into certainty. The captain believes in continuity. He believes the next attack will resemble the last one, because warfare has always followed patterns. Ships sink when armor is pierced. Battles are decided by penetration, flooding, fire. Steel resists force. Thickness equals survival. These assumptions have governed naval design for decades, and the Tirpitz is their ultimate expression. Bigger guns. Thicker plates. Deeper protection. What he cannot see is that the equation has changed. Somewhere far from the fjord, engineers are no longer asking how to break the armor. They are asking how to bypass it entirely. How to move energy through water and earth instead of steel. How to turn mass, velocity, and shock waves into weapons that ignore traditional defenses. These ideas don't announce themselves with visible damage or immediate losses. They develop quietly, mathematically, patiently. Standing on the bridge, the captain scans the horizon, confident that danger will come from where it always has. He trusts the systems beneath him because they've never failed in the way that matters. But invincibility built on past survival carries a hidden weakness. It assumes the future will obey the same rules. And in that assumption, the Tirpitz is already closer to destruction than anyone aboard realizes. The first warning arrives as a flicker on a radar screen, a thin line of light that appears at the edge of detection and then fades away. The operator notes it, reports it, and waits. Nothing follows. No bombs. No aircraft overhead. To the officers on the Tirpitz, this is not a threat. It is noise. The kind of uncertainty that modern machines produce when pushed to their limits. The system has worked before. It will work again. More contacts appear over the following weeks. Aircraft flying higher than expected. Approaches that don't match known attack profiles. Short windows of exposure, then silence. Each incident is filed away, stripped of urgency by the absence of consequences. In warfare, danger is usually loud. Explosions, fire, damage reports. Here, there is only data without impact, and data without impact is easy to dismiss. The memory of past attacks does more harm than good. Submarines penetrated the fjord once. Charges detonated directly beneath the hull. The ship was lifted, shaken, scarred. Men died. Systems failed. And yet the Tirpitz did not sink. She returned to service stronger, repaired, reinforced. The lesson the captain takes from this is simple and dangerously incomplete. If the most direct attacks failed, then less visible ones must be even less effective. Intelligence briefings attempt to introduce doubt. Reports mention new British bomb designs, weapons that rely on mass and velocity rather than direct penetration. Engineers speak of shockwaves transmitted through water and soil, of energy moving faster and more efficiently through dense mediums than through air. They describe effects that don't require a direct hit, concepts that sound abstract, almost theoretical. To the captain, they feel disconnected from reality. Ships are destroyed by holes in their hulls, not by ideas. Procedures continue as designed. Smoke generators are tested. Anti-aircraft cruise drill. Firing tables are updated. Everything visible and familiar is under control. The defenses are tangible, measurable, reassuring. Armor thickness can be touched. Net spacing can be calculated. Gun elevation can be adjusted. What cannot be seen, changes in enemy thinking, in physics applied at scale, feels less real, less urgent. Overconfidence fills the gap where uncertainty should grow. Each failed British operation is interpreted as confirmation that the enemy is running out of options. Resources wasted. Men lost. Machines destroyed. From the fjord, it looks like desperation. What the captain cannot see is that these failures are experiments, each one refining a solution that no longer targets the ship directly. The most dangerous warning is not a single alert, but the pattern itself. The attacks are changing shape. The pauses between them grow longer. The methods become less conventional. These are signs of adaptation, not retreat. But adaptation is subtle, and subtle threats are easy to ignore when the past has rewarded confidence. By the time the radar returns solid contacts, the moment for reinterpretation has passed. The captain has already decided what kind of danger is possible and what kind is not. His systems are prepared for the old war, the familiar war, the war of steel versus steel. What they cannot defend against is a threat that treats the ship not as a target, but as a mass resting on borrowed ground. And in that miscalculation, the outcome is already moving toward him, fast and unavoidable. The Royal Navy throws everything it understands at the problem, and one by one, the solutions fail. Not because they are poorly executed, but because they are built for a war the Tirpitz was specifically designed to survive. Every traditional weapon arrives carrying assumptions that no longer apply. Submarines are the first test. In open ocean, they are lethal. Silent, patient, invisible. But the fjord changes the physics. Narrow channels restrict maneuvering. Steep underwater walls disrupt sonar and limit firing angles. Anti-submarine patrols compress the search space, and most critically, the Tirpitz is wrapped in multiple layers of anti-torpedo nets. Even when a submarine manages to penetrate the outer defenses, a launched torpedo has nowhere to go. It strikes steel mesh, detonates early, and spends its energy in the water instead of the hull. Shock dissipates. Damage is localized. The ship remains afloat. Air power tries next. Carrier-based dive bombers descend steeply, releasing armor-piercing bombs designed to punch through decks and explode deep inside the ship. But the fjord again dictates the outcome. Cloud ceilings are low. Terrain forces early release. Without altitude, the bombs cannot build enough velocity. They strike the armored deck at subcritical speed, shattering or detonating on contact. The explosions are violent but shallow. Men are killed. Superstructures are torn apart. Radar arrays collapse. Yet the citadel below, the engines, the turbines, the magazines, remains untouched. The heart of the ship keeps beating. Conventional explosives meet the same limits. Charges detonated near the hull send shockwaves through the water, but the Tirpitz is engineered to absorb them. A double bottom, heavy internal bracing, and compartmentalization spread the force and prevent catastrophic flooding. Damage control teams isolate ruptured sections, shore up bulkheads, and pump relentlessly. The ship takes punishment, but it does not take a mortal wound. Each failure strengthens the illusion of invulnerability. German engineers built the Tirpitz around a single principle: survivability. Every system assumes penetration will occur and is designed to contain it. Flooding is expected. Fires are anticipated. Power loss is temporary. Nothing relies on perfection. Everything relies on endurance. Against weapons designed to punch holes, this philosophy works. The Allies measure success by visible damage, by fire and smoke and bodies on the deck. From the air, attacks look devastating. From the inside, they are survivable. And that distinction matters. Because warships are not killed by spectacle. They are killed by structural collapse, by loss of propulsion, by magazine detonation. None of that happens. Traditional warfare keeps attacking the shell. It never reaches the foundation. The assumption is always the same. If enough force is applied, the armor will fail. But the Tirpitz isn't just resisting force. It is redirecting it, dispersing it, wasting it. Energy that should be fatal is absorbed, spread, and neutralized by design. What no one on the ship fully grasps yet is that these failures are not evidence of safety. They are evidence of limitation. Traditional weapons are reaching the ceiling of what they can do. The ship has become too heavy, too protected, too optimized for an older form of combat. And when a system becomes perfectly adapted to one threat, it becomes dangerously exposed to another. The Tirpitz survives because it was built to survive this war. What it cannot survive is the next one already being invented around it. At some point, brute force stops being a solution and becomes a question. For the British, the question is no longer how to hit the Tirpitz harder, but how to stop fighting the ship on its own terms. Every conventional approach has failed because every conventional approach assumes the armor must be defeated directly. That assumption is quietly abandoned. The shift does not happen on a flight deck or in a briefing room. It happens on paper, in calculations, in the mind of an engineer who does not see a battleship, but a mass governed by physics. Barnes-Wallis has already proven that warfare can be redefined by understanding how energy moves through the world. He did it once with bouncing bombs. Now he looks at the Tirpitz and sees a different problem entirely. Armor, he realizes, is irrelevant if it is not the point of attack. Steel plates are excellent at resisting penetration, but they cannot protect what lies beneath the ship itself. Water and earth behave differently than air. They are dense, incompressible, efficient at transmitting shock. If enough energy is delivered into those mediums, it does not dissipate outward. It rebounds. It collapses inward. Foundations fail before armor ever does. From this idea comes the Tallboy. Not a bomb designed to explode on contact, but a weapon engineered to survive impact. Nearly 6 tons of machined steel, shaped for stability, built to fall faster than sound. Its casing is hardened so it does not shatter. Its fins are angled to induce spin, turning the bomb into a falling projectile with gyroscopic precision. Dropped from extreme altitude, it does not tumble or drift. It drills. This is industrial warfare at its most precise. The Tallboy is not mass-produced improvisation. Each one is crafted, filled slowly to avoid internal flaws, designed to hit a specific point with mathematical certainty. It is not meant to destroy what it strikes. It is meant to pass through it, bury itself deep, and detonate where the physics are most unforgiving. The target is no longer the ship's deck or hull. The target is the ground beneath it. When the Tallboy detonates underground or underwater, it creates a violent shockwave that moves faster through dense material than through air. The surrounding earth momentarily liquefies. Support disappears. Structures above lose their footing. This is not an explosion in the traditional sense. It is a localized earthquake. For the Tirpitz, this represents a threat no amount of armor can counter. Anti-aircraft guns cannot shoot physics. Smoke screens cannot hide mass from gravity. Nets cannot stop energy transmitted through water and soil. Every defensive system is suddenly misaligned with the nature of the attack. The rules of war have shifted without announcement. The British are no longer trying to overwhelm defenses. They are bypassing them entirely. The battleship, once the ultimate expression of naval power, is being reduced to a variable in an equation. Weight, velocity, distance, medium. This change is invisible from the fjord. To the German crew, nothing looks different. The ship still floats. The armor is still intact. The defenses still stand. But somewhere beyond the horizon, the war has already moved on. When the Tallboy enters the equation, survival is no longer about resisting force. It is about whether the ground itself can be trusted to stay solid. And for the Tirpitz, that trust is about to be fatally misplaced. The Tirpitz is no longer a ship in the open water. She is a fortress, a weapon, a monument to German engineering. And yet, in a single tactical decision, that fortress is placed on a foundation that will betray it. Berlin orders her moved south, to shallower water, to act as a static coastal battery. The reasoning is simple, intuitive even. If she cannot sail, let her guns still dominate. Anchor her on a sandbank, raise her decks above the surface, and she becomes unsinkable, or so it seems. From the bridge, it looks logical. The sand beneath the hull feels solid. The water is calm. The charts indicate a shallow plateau capable of supporting 52,000 tons. Men are ordered to dredge and level, to prepare a bed worthy of the ship's mass. The officers move with confidence. Every measurement confirms stability. Yet there is a crucial variable that no chart can quantify: the physics of sudden, concentrated energy beneath the ship. The sandbank is firm only until it is not. This is the invisible trap. The Tirpitz is heavy, but the Tallboy bomb is heavier in effect. When dropped from high altitude, it doesn't just hit. It penetrates, excavates, and transmits energy directly into the substrate. The dense earth liquefies. Compacted sand becomes unstable. What was meant to be the foundation of safety becomes a vehicle of destruction. For a ship that has resisted every torpedo, every bomb, every shockwave, the ground beneath her is suddenly an enemy she cannot see. The crew performs every drill flawlessly. Smoke generators stand ready. Anti-aircraft gunners train on the sky. Every compartment is sealed. Every emergency pump operational. They have survived assaults that should have destroyed them, time and again. Confidence is high. The captain believes that the calculations hold. The sand will bear. The Tirpitz is, after all, invincible. Or so they think. The moment of truth is precise, mathematical, inevitable. When the first Tallboy hits, the sandbank beneath the bow collapses. The liquefied ground can no longer support the weight. The ship tilts, slowly at first, then decisively, as physics reclaims dominance. Flooded compartments shift the center of gravity. Electrical systems fail under the stress of twisting steel. Turrets are thrown off alignment. Bulkheads strain, splinter, and buckle. The upper decks burn, smoke rises, and the cries of men echo through the chaos. It is not immediate destruction. It is the collapse of the invisible, the betrayal of assumptions, the punishment of overconfidence. 11 minutes later, the Tirpitz is gone, capsized, lying on her side, the red paint of her keel rising from the water as a silent monument to miscalculation. 971 sailors are lost. 87 survive, rescued through holes cut in the steel by rescue teams. Even as men cling to fragments of deck, the ship is a proof of applied physics. It was not steel, not armor, not preparation that failed. It was the overlooked interaction between mass and medium, between human expectation and industrial inevitability. The decision to place the Tirpitz on the sandbank transformed security into a death sentence. Overconfidence, misapplied logic, and reliance on conventional understanding of naval warfare created a trap that no human skill could counter. Industrial power and applied physics had already redefined the rules. The ship had survived every conventional attack, yet it fell to the silent, unstoppable consequence of its own foundation. Time slows. 30,000 feet above the cold Norwegian fjord, a Lancaster releases its payload, a single Tallboy, 6 tons of machined steel, spinning with gyroscopic precision, cutting through the air like a falling projectile of inevitability. For the men on board the Tirpitz, the threat is abstract. They have survived submarines, dive bombers, and previous Tallboy attacks. The smoke generators hang in the air, the anti-aircraft guns train skyward, but none of it matters. The rules have already changed. The bomb hits the sandbank beside the bow. Impact is not the final act, it is the beginning. The energy transfers instantly through the dense substrate, compacted sand giving way, liquefying beneath 52,000 tons of steel. The ground that was meant to guarantee stability is gone in a fraction of a second. The ship tilts. Flooded compartments shift, altering the center of gravity. Electrical systems spark and die. Bulkheads groan under stress that was never anticipated. Turrets, each weighing hundreds of tons, are torn from their mountings, crashing onto the deck, then into the water. Chaos becomes geometry, physics rewriting the battlefield. A second Tallboy strikes midship, penetrating the armored deck and detonating beside the magazines. The explosion is confined, directed by design, channeled through the very structure of the ship. Shock waves ripple through steel and concrete, tearing the skeleton apart. The hull bends, fractures, and begins to collapse under its own weight. The ship rolls, 20 degrees, 40 degrees, 50 degrees. Water floods compartments faster than men can respond. The deck tilts violently, and the upper works slide into the icy fjord. Every defensive system is irrelevant. Smoke, nets, and armor cannot counter the invisible hand of physics. Within 11 minutes, the Tirpitz, once the embodiment of German naval supremacy, is gone. The massive battleship capsizes completely, rolling onto her side. The red anti-fouling paint of the keel rises above the water like a stark signal of industrial inevitability. The sound of twisting metal, cracking armor, and exploding compartments drowns out the cries of the dying. 971 sailors are lost in the frozen waters, their lives ending as abruptly as the calculation that doomed their ship. 87 survive, pulled from air pockets or by rescue crews cutting into the steel with torches. The destruction is both total and surgical. It demonstrates something far larger than the ship itself. Applied physics, industrial precision, and systemic calculation can bypass the most formidable defenses. The Tirpitz was designed to survive every weapon of traditional war. But the Tallboy does not fight by those rules. It targets the foundation, the medium, the relationship between mass and support. It ignores armor, nets, and geography entirely, exploiting the fundamental laws of motion and force. In 11 minutes, an empire of steel becomes a case study in inevitability. Lessons are written in twisted metal, shattered decks, and silent, frozen compartments. The era of naval invincibility ends not through heroism or courage, but through applied science, precise calculation, and understanding that the battlefield includes every element of the environment. The Tirpitz falls as a reminder. No fortress, no matter how heavily engineered, can survive when the rules of the game have changed forever. The water is still now, but the silence is heavy, charged with the echoes of steel collapsing and men lost. The Tirpitz, the so-called Beast of the North, lies on her side in the frigid fjord, a massive, twisted monument to the hubris of human assumption. Captain Weber, who once strode the armored decks with certainty and pride, is gone. His ship, which survived submarines, torpedoes, and air attacks, is reduced to a geometric casualty of physics. What remains is the stark proof. No armor, no nets, no geography, no amount of overconfidence can withstand the deliberate application of science and industrial precision. The fjord is littered with the remnants of human endeavor, twisted steel, dislodged turrets, shattered decks, and the frozen, silent forms of men who believed in the invincibility of tradition. 87 souls survive, extracted from air pockets or through the brutal work of cutting into hardened steel with torches. 971 are gone. The scale of loss is staggering, yet it is only a fragment of the lesson being written in real time, that industrial capability, applied physics, and systemic calculation have overtaken every concept of what was once considered impregnable. The Tirpitz was never just a ship. It was a statement of engineering, a physical argument that the rules of conventional naval warfare still applied. Every thick plate of armor, every anti-torpedo net, every defensive calculus was a testament to human ingenuity constrained by old paradigms. But the Tallboy bomb and the precise orchestration of the attack demonstrated that the rules had already evolved. The battle was no longer about courage at sea or resilience of hulls. It was about understanding mass, energy, and medium, about designing tools that exploit the weaknesses inherent in every system, however formidable it appears. This is the brutal calculus of modern warfare. Industrial power can transform a battlefield, reshaping outcomes with meticulous precision rather than brute force alone. Applied science can make what seems indestructible utterly vulnerable. The destruction of the Tirpitz is not just a tactical victory, it is a systemic revelation. Overconfidence, outdated assumptions, and reliance on tradition collided with innovation, calculation, and physics always wins. Standing on the frozen decks of the fjord, surveying the wreckage, one can see the broader implications. Warfare is no longer a contest of valor alone. It is a contest of understanding the environment, of harnessing technology, and of applying industrial precision to achieve inevitability. The Tirpitz was a fortress, but fortresses are meaningless when the ground beneath them can be liquefied, when energy can be directed with scientific certainty, when mathematics dictates the outcome more than human hands ever could. The beast is defeated, not through heroism or luck, but through a disciplined, analytical approach that leaves no variable unaccounted for. The fjord itself becomes a witness to the end of an era, and the lesson is indelibly clear. In the new age of warfare, arrogance is the most dangerous enemy, and no matter how strong the steel, no matter how proud the captain, applied physics and industrial ingenuity will always prevail.